It's Wednesday the 13th of April 2016 at 7 p.m. Welcome to all the councillors. There's no members of the public this evening. If any members of the public do come in, I'm not saying that, but obviously your bag's at the back, so just okay, item 1 on the agenda, I believe that Councillor Brookes has withdrawn that.
That's correct.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll go to item number 2. Obviously we're aware that we need to elect a chairman. Councillor Brookes, you requested that this is a recorded vote. Yes, a signed vote.
Yes, I proposed that, but we need 2 other members to agree it. To make it professional.
I support that as well. Yeah, okay. Agree. So we'll do it as a proposal. Proposed by Councillor Brookes, seconded by Councillor Lowe. All those in favour? Okay, it's unanimous. So what we'll do then, we'll go through. It's unanimous, isn't it? We'll go through the election of a chairman. Looking for proposals. I've already said. Oh, I'm going to come to Joyce. Joyce was first. Let's do Joyce.
We need someone who is well known within the town, who is highly respected by many, one who always listens to everyone's point of view, one who knows how the local authority works, one who has time and the interest to do the job. I have no hesitation in proposing Councillor Lowe, and I ask for a seconder.
Okay, Councillor Haley wanted to say something, so I'll come down.
No, it's no proposal, it's already done.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'll second it.
Does anybody else want to be considered for chairman? Okay, so that's seconded by Councillor Haley. All those in favour? I'm going to vote for myself, obviously. And abstentions, or are you against Martin or abstaining?
Abstaining.
Alright, so...
Does that record everybody's...
Oh, we did, actually.
I suppose as there's only one person, we should maybe just accept that.
Yeah, okay, right, fine. We don't need...
It wasn't the correct procedure, but...
We can do it correctly. Sounds of it,
no, people made a clear signal, didn't they?
I think if there had been 2 people assigned, the ballot would have been appropriate, but we'll look at that.
Chairman, may I make an observation? Can this meeting please be chaired by the chairman only?
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
My only other thing, do we install you with a chain, or do we sit down the whole of the time?
I will, listening to what Stan said, I'll explain.
So hang on then, so
what we got
10 votes for and 1 abstention.
Yes, yeah. So at the moment that carries me as chairman. What we're going to do is I'm going to have to suspend the meeting for a couple of minutes because I now have to sign a declaration of office, which we'll pop in and do there. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to suspend the standing order where people do not have to stand this evening. So for the rest of this evening there's no need for people to stand to make deputations.
Right.
Just purely the fact that we've got a few things to go through and I think people will be more comfortable, okay? And it's also quite tight around the table with so many people. The declaration of... resume the meeting at 5 minutes past.
You've done declaration of acceptance?
Yes, we've done that, signed it. In the absence of the clerk, just to clarify, we did ask the question today, or Alison asked the question preempting this. Alison was authorised to sign in the clerk's absence. She's not PP'd it, she's actually signed it as the assistant clerk. Right. Martin, you wanted to ask a question?
When we're ready, did we vote on the ballot for both items? Or was it just for
what we'll do is we'll do it when we get to the deputy chair, which is next. And we're going to do this now. What it is that the election of a deputy chairman. Martin, let's do a signed ballot for that as well. That's what you're saying.
If there's more than one candidate, we'll say that then.
Okay, but, so shall we accept it, or should we? Martin's proposing that if there's more than one candidate for deputy chairman, that we have a signed ballot. Okay, I will second that.
Sure.
That will be and all those in favour. Okay, if we've got more than one candidate, then we'll be going for a signed ballot. So. Deputy Chairman, looking for candidates. Anybody want?
Can I propose Peter Ind, please?
Right, Peter
I think Peter's experience Peter's experience in the past will stand him in really good stead. He's extremely
okay.
Do you want to second?
Well, there was Jasmine was.
I'd like to nominate Michael.
We can have a seconder.
We need a seconder.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'll come to that. I'm just looking at how many people are on. But does anybody else want? We've got Jasmine. Anybody else want to nominate anybody else? Right, let's come back.
If we're going to have an election, I'll nominate myself. We haven't got seconders for anyone yet, but...
Okay, So I'll come to it. So Councillor Brookes, Mike Brookes has nominated himself. So
It's for a short period, and I would follow the rules and sit there and do nothing as a deputy chairman should do.
Okay, right. Right, Stan, you nominated Peter. Does somebody want to second? Seconded by Joyce. So, but we're doing this as a signed ballot, aren't we?
Yes.
So that's about, I don't really want people raising their hands.
No.
What we need to do.
What we'll do is, if we have seconders for these other people,
Yeah.
and then everybody can just put, you get one vote each,
Okay.
and you have to put a cross by the person. So even though I've got everybody's names on there,
Yeah.
obviously you're just voting for the 3 people, and you must sign it.
Okay, we'll just log down all these seconded then. So we've got Stan, seconded by
Joyce.
Joyce for Peter. Michael was proposed by Jasmine. I will happily second Michael Haley. And Martin's proposed himself. Anybody want to second Martin? But thank you, Michael Elliott. So we have 3 candidates. So the pieces of paper come round. Obviously, you have to tick one of those 3 names. If you want, you can cross your name out, but don't put an X because that might confuse things.
You just pick one cross out of those 3 people who you want to vote for,
Sorry,
and sign it.
the clerk was saying cross, you said tick.
Oh,
Well, it says
all right, tick.
cross.
Do whatever you want to do. Whatever, as long as it's a clear indication of who you want it to be.
That's a normal term, is a clear. Normal election term is a
But
clear
X,
mark.
right, it says
isn't
X on there, so
Put an X.
Thank you very much.
and don't forget to sign the papers because otherwise they're not valid.
No, fine.
So you're looking to put
Who you want to be deputy chairman?
Peter, Michael, and
Martin.
Martin.
It's so easy,
But it is. But we've not done this for a while, so it's a bit
no,
confusing.
you're quite right, we haven't.
And some of the new councillors haven't done it at all.
And you can vote for yourself.
I was going to vote for somebody else if that's all.
No, you can. If they can vote.
Yes,
the councillors can
Adam
vote. If you
has
want
done
to
that in the
vote for
past,
yourself,
voted
you
for
can.
Absolutely.
But at least I'll get 1 vote.
Bless you, boy.
Mind you, once before I just spoilt the paper. We've had spoilt paper here.
Well, what we can do is, if these have all been done, don't forget to sign them.
No.
Alison's going to go off and count them. If there's a majority here, then that will be, whoever's got the majority will be the deputy chairman. If one person is last, or if there's a tie, then we have to do it again, basically.
We need an overall majority.
And if a majority of 1 will do it. I've already spoken to the LRLAC about this.
If I put them in, Adam, if I put them in piles, then you can come and check them again.
Is everybody happy to go
We
check?
had all that fuss with Vince's co-op.
The council's still in progress
We
with
can
the
never
account.
we need to sort out
Yes, it does, mine does.
the rules so that they're
Yeah,
laid down
you could
properly.
do, but I might put it round again because there's 3 candidates. Yeah, upstairs.
It saves some battery.
If everybody's eyes down for full hours. Martin, yeah, you're right, you only got 1 vote. So, but,
That's all right.
you know, that's
Well,
cool.
thank you for Michael for
Peter got
seconding.
3 and Michael Haley 7 votes. So that puts Michael Haley as the deputy chairman. So congratulations to Michael. There's nothing required for the deputy chairman to sign, is there? But if you want, you can sit next to me. That means anything. So, I don't know if that's a prize or not. Okay. Right, apologies. There's none received because everybody's here, so that's good. Declarations of interest. Members are asked to declare if required any disclosable pecuniary interest they may have in respect to items on the agenda, any other interest they may have in respect to items on the agenda, and members are reminded to inform the clerk of any changes in their, or assistant clerk, or any change in their registered members' interest. Anybody got anything to declare? Has everybody signed the book tonight as well?
Yeah.
Just over here. I know you're all there. Item 7 is the minutes. Anybody got any comments or observations on the minutes?
Yeah, there is one in the minutes.
Yeah,
We've got yours, Martin.
sorry.
We've got yours.
Do I have to say it further?
And I've amended it already.
What item?
Whether we have to tell the members so
We're
they
gonna-
can
yeah, we'll
approve
do
it.
On, which item?
It's 08916.
It says that the document was approved changes, but there were no changes
Yeah.
to be made.
on the night where there was a change to something to do with the recording of meetings, and on the evening it actually was presented as we propose that there are no changes made to the standing orders in regard to recording of meetings, but when it came out in the drafts it was recorded as that there should be. It's now been noted that there are no changes to the standing orders in relation to the recording of meetings, and that's what we'll sign up with that.
Propose that.
Proposed the amendment by Martin, seconded by Adam. All those in favour? That's unanimous then.
Right, you
You
need
want
to
to sign that?
initial the amendment.
Where is it?
There.
Thank you.
And then go back and do the rest of the page.
Is that the last page?
No, there's quite a few today.
Is it?
This one, yeah.
That's the problem when you get them in the next row for someone. It's a bit of a
Was everybody here at the last one? There was no abstentions.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what you said.
I'm not just signing it.
Yeah. Brilliant. Councillors, questions to answer? Any questions previously notified to the clerk under section 9, standing order 9? I haven't got any
I've
questions.
been notified of any.
Not really making no questions. That makes it very easy, doesn't it? Next item 9 is Chairman's and Members' report. Now I'm aware that we've got a few reports coming up. The only thing that I can report on myself is that I did attend the Rutland County service at Buckingham Church on Sunday with Joyce, as it was in attendance as well, and that was a county-led thing by
Kenneth Poole, the chairman.
Okay, and that's all I did. Okay, looking around the table, who else has got reports? Jasmine?
I've got just a couple. I attended my first Victoria Hall Trustees meeting on Monday, and reports were given from the Honorary Treasurer, Honorary Secretary. Draft financial procedures were approved and implemented straight away, and they discussed doing a 5-year plan on the long-term use of Victoria Hall.
Oh, right.
I'll be meeting with the Chairman, Secretary and the Treasurer in the next few weeks to discuss what role I will have with them.
Okay.
There's also Rutland Access Group, which was about a month ago. I forgot at the last meeting. Most of it was Rutland wide, so it doesn't concern Oakham. One thing they asked me to investigate was whether there was going to be any S106 money near the showground for a crossing, because they believed that there wasn't. I don't know which side of the crossing it would be, whether it falls to the town council, I don't know.
That's worth making a note of, isn't it, when we do county again?
Yeah. Dave Brown got back to me with that and said that there wasn't any allocated money for a crossing there, and they'd have to go through the Capital Highways programme if they wanted to try and get one there. It kind of also highlighted, would one be better near the co-op if one was going to be implemented, rather than somewhere that's possibly only used once a year. If they do take that further, obviously they may be coming to us for support with that. And just a small thing really, while I'm the representative on there, it doesn't really matter, but in the future, if it's anybody else, it came to light that some of the disabled parking reviews that we've recently discussed actually came through them. And obviously they go out and do the kind of risk assessments in wheelchairs for these things and various other ways of looking at it. So it might be worth, next time we're asked to look at parking reviews, whoever's the rep, to actually go back to the group first and see which ones came from them and kind of find out their reasoning behind applying for those spaces.
Okay. Sounds quite productive meeting actually. Thank you for that. When? Yes, sorry, yeah.
I want to say something.
Oh right, okay. I might have got your name down here as well.
Yeah, just very quick. I attended in my own capacity to the appointment or acceptance of the new High Sheriff of Rutland. And the reason I asked to do a report is because both High Sheriffs publicly thanked Oakham Town Council, who were not represented at the event, for all their support and work with the restoration of the castle.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, Sam, sorry.
Yeah, all I wanted to mention actually, because so many members of the public are asking a question about 130 Broadstone Road, built there.
Yeah.
Today I've actually spoken to the case officer. That was approved in 2013.
Yeah.
There's 10 apartments or whatever going up, and it was car parking spaces. There are 20 car parking spaces. So if anybody is asked about it, because I've been approached by so many people, there are 20 car parking spaces.
It's quite a lot. It's quite good.
11
It's the old ice cream man from the there.
Yes, the lane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, any others? Vince.
Just an update. A week tomorrow, obviously you're all aware because you got the email. A week tomorrow will be the light of the beacon.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Rough outline of the timescale of events: 18:30, Captain's College Brass Band will sound the national anthem, selection of tunes, modern day songs. Then at 18:45, College Dance Group will perform solos and duets. Hopefully the vocalists, who haven't confirmed yet, will start to sing around 1900. The jazz band from Catmus will do a medley of tunes, and then the Lord Lieutenant is going to be invested into the 2nd Oakham Scout Group as an honorary member. We will then have the beacon lighting. The bells, I had confirmed last night, will ring peal for 10 minutes, followed by 20 minutes worth of Mary Poppins performance and more college medleys. On the park we will have Fancy Castle, we will have mini fun fair, we will have a licensed bar, we will have a licensed Prosecco and gin bar, providing they've gone through the application today and that's been all granted. We have got a stage that's been paid for by Arts for Rutland, and I negotiated yesterday for the use of a big PA sound system free of charge for this event. The beacon has been paid for and supplied by RPC Containers and PC Howard at a cost of approximately £600. So we may be looking to locate said beacon for time memorial wherever we but I have got a place for it to go after the lighting. I've also got a lady that's coming around to do face painting. She's doing that to the people of the town, or the children of the town, free. That is going to be paid for by some of the vendors. Rutland Garden Centre will be putting a stall on there, and he will be contributing to the face painting, and so will a couple of others. Anybody that's got any questions, please feel free to send me an email.
You don't read your email?
I do, I just don't answer them.
Yeah.
When you're finished.
I think that's it. Right, so I will be in the park from about 4 o'clock onwards next week. I would like a hand with some bunting to go around the bandstand.
The gazebos, yeah.
Gazebos need to go up. People will be coming in from sort of 4 o'clock onwards, okay, but the actual event officially starts, or our event officially starts for 90 minutes worth of fun for the Queen's birthday at 18:30 and finishes at 2000, beacon lighting at 19. National guidelines have now changed, but they have stated that they are happy for events that have already made a decision to carry on with that timescale. That's what we're doing because it's a school night.
And we'd set that time.
And we'd already set it, yeah. But because it's a school night,
yeah.
had it been a Friday night,
Makes
we'd
sense.
probably changed it, but things have been set in stone. As it stands at the minute, I owe some big thank yous, and I'd like the council's permission to invite the works manager from RPC Containers and obviously the Mr. Howard from PC Howard, no relation, to come along for your PR tent.
Oh right, yeah.
For your dignitary tent.
Yeah, that's a given.
Okay, so if I give you the details, then you sort of invite them because they have spent a lot of time and money. I think that's it.
Okay. I think normally there will be questions. There are a couple of questions going to be asked.
No, it's not going to be a question.
Oh right.
Just to say a huge thank you to Councillor Howard. Sorry, I won't be there, but I'll be thinking of you.
Just leave £10 for the gym.
Martin, you want to say something?
After the event, I was just thinking it might be appropriate if you, as chairman, if everybody else agrees, that the main people who have sponsored this are actually written to from the chairman to thank them for the support. So Vince would have a list. Right?
Okay. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Because I think people have been very generous.
Yeah, they have. It's incredible what Vince has done from standing still, because he stood up here 2-3 months ago and said, "We'll take it on. We'll do it for free. I'll head it up," and off he's gone. One question. You know the reading of the Prince of Wales's bit?
Yes.
Have you got a target person for that yet?
I was going to say Lawrence.
Maybe one of the scouts could do it.
Maybe.
I've
not printed it off yet.
Well, I was talking the idea of getting it printed, so we're going to discuss this in such a casual way, but I was going to talk the idea of getting it printed on maybe some nice parchment, put it in a frame to give to whoever reads it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've asked Rutland Radio as well to run this competition, but they've not got back to me. They may do something to run to it, but they are promoting the event as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Thank you, Alison, for running the posters off, and thank you, Martin, for distributing them.
Yeah.
And my other half as well. I think that's it on that one. But please turn up next week.
Yeah,
support.
Yeah, all councils really. It'll be a good night. If not to support Vint, to support the Queen's night.
Well, no, because you'll be on the mic.
Not mention that one.
Sorry, you're on the chair.
Who's mine? Anyway, okay, deputation. Anybody else got any comments on the mate? Brilliant.
Definitely.
Brilliant piece of work, mate. So we're working for it. Thank you very much. Good evening, by the way, sir. Again. Can't see you. No deputations by the public. Moving on to item 12, working groups and steering groups strategy assurance piece. This is a regular section now on the minutes, isn't it, Michael?
Yes.
And by the looks of it, we've got the neighbourhood plan steering group. Which, are you going to brief us on this, or is it just no? Yeah, it's just. Yeah, it was just make sure it was sent out. This is that yellow document, and it's just really for the council to note. Is it then again to see how it's progressing? Yeah.
Did I see? Sorry, Chair.
Yeah. No,
Did I see they wanted something for a leaflet, or is that?
That's an agenda item later on, I think.
Say that again.
I think. Have you got an agenda item asking for some money?
Not for no, not for this, because I'm still working.
No.
Sorry, I just.
So with the yellow document, it's just an update of where they are, and it's just for councillors to be aware of it, read it and note it. Yeah? Everybody happy with that? I don't need to vote on that. Thank you, Michael. Item 13 then. Yeah, moving on.
Yeah.
This is the, to authorise a payment of £6,500 for the funding of the Citizens Advice project. This was actually voted on, this was agreed at a previous council meeting that the council would support the Citizens Advice to this degree of funding. From what I understand, this funding would come out of, you weren't at the meeting, Michael, this funding will come out of the reserves. Correct? Yeah. So, basically looking for somebody to propose that we to the authorisation of this payment. Oh, right, Vince proposing. Yeah, seconded by Michael Elliott. All those in favour? It's okay. Are you not voting for this?
No, I'm just abstaining because I was involved with the work. Yeah.
Can we raise our hands?
Well, I was a
please, we can see?
representative as well.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Abstentions? Sorry, against, isn't it?
Yes.
Are you against?
We haven't got that much reserve.
Right, okay, so Joyce is against it, and abstentions, 2. Martin and myself.
Could
you want that minuted, those people that have abstained and voted against?
I'm easy out of the way.
Okay. Martin.
Can you, as chairman, point out, because some people have asked the question why it came, in the past it has shown the act of the reason why it's not just come forward.
Well, yeah, I mean, the council has got powers to support local organisations.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but know the reason why it's come tonight.
Yes.
Because the cheque.
Well, some of the new councillors may not know that it's. That we don't need to see it, but
this was, as I said at the beginning, this was agreed by council at a previous meeting where we should support citizens' advice, which we can do under the Local Government Act. The reason it's come back to council is because it's in excess of £5,000. The council has to do it. That's pretty much why it's come back.
Yeah, that's what should it say.
It was on minute 04916, and which is done the letters. It just.
Yep. Okay. But anyway, so that's been authorised. That can be signed off. Are you gonna? Does that need to be signed tonight? While we've got people here, or are you gonna? Right. Okay. Right. Let's not rush it. You can always pop in during the week. Okay. Moving on. Item 14 is mine, isn't it? James, I think it's a lady that does the bookstall usually in the marketplace. She's not been doing it most recently. Basically, hopefully read the agenda item. She's asked about using cuts close to hold car boots to raise money for charities that she works with. She's a well-known figure around the town. I think most people know her. I said I would put it forward as an agenda item. She can't be here this evening because she's out fundraising. And just to clarify, I was asked a question earlier on, which I don't mind answering now. I was asked whether we should be charging her because is there any money that she benefits from it? All the money that Jane raises all goes to charity. She doesn't have any administration costs. So I'll open this up to the table. I'll look round. I'll come to Joyce first and I'll come to Vince.
Jane Jones is well known, and she works extremely hard for EMIX and the Air Ambulance. If she can't do it in the town, she does it. She has regular garage sales. She was awarded the BEM 4 years ago. She's hard-working, and I think we should support this. It is a community project. Cuts Close is used by the community. I can't see any problem with it, with the caveat that if it doesn't actually damage, we have to review it.
Yes.
But that's what the Cuts Close is all about. It's a community project. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Vince?
Right, having spent quite a considerable amount of time in the park of late, I think this is a fantastic idea to encourage the use of the park. I fully support everything Councillor Lucas has said. However, I am very conscious of the damage that has been done on the upper terrace of the park. Having looked at the lower terrace, which is accessible from the car park, I would suggest that, I've roughly calculated, you can get about 41 cars around that area at the bottom. Is accessible with nice access and egress, and it will also allow other members of the public to use the top upper part of the terrace of the park. So I would suggest that, or propose even, that we allow them to use with full rights of access for the dates that they've requested the lower terrace of the park, accessing from Burley Road car park, with a caveat that we review any damage that may be caused or has been caused, so that for future events that we can stipulate, because we've got one going into October. So October may be damp.
Okay,
So
could be something.
yeah, but the lower part, I know historically, if it has rained, it will flood. So I accept that, but May, June, July, August, maybe okay. It's just that
keep an eye.
That particular part isn't used, utilised, and it would focus on that, and we can also encourage other things on the top part.
Yeah.
Bit of joined up thinking. That's the only
Well, I'm going to come round bring towards Martin. I'll come back to you in a minute, Joyce. Martin.
Yeah.
Yes, I was agreeing with Vince because I bumped into him in the park and we both looked and said that is the perfect area because it can be controlled. The problem with the top part is people driving in, and that footpath is frequently used by young people, old people, middle-aged people, everyone basically, and it's not suitable for cars. And also it's very uneven. But if the event expands, there are people who don't have cars, and I don't see any reason why you couldn't end up having charity gazebos or whatever at the top. And this could become a very good regular event, which the town partnership almost became their car boot sale. And the benefit of that is that it also attracts people into the town.
Brilliant, okay.
So I don't have any objection to it in that part of the park.
I'm going to keep coming around, there's no flags over here, then come back round to Joyce, then I'll come on to Tracy.
Wearing my tree warden hat, I would like a caveat that those trees which have been planted there, because it does get nice and soggy. That's why they were planted there, so that I didn't have to water them. That there is no damage to those. I think it's 4 oaks. Was it 4 or 5 oak trees?
Yeah.
They haven't got guards on.
Okay. So we've got review any damage to the grassed areas and review any damage to the planted areas, trees, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Tracy?
I was just going to add really, in terms of even, we might not even want to go that far about potential damage, because I know say at a cattle market in Melton, if you're doing car boot, you have to drop your stuff off and then park elsewhere, so you don't necessarily drive your car on, you have to unload and load, you know. So that isn't what I'm saying, is it's not a given that you have your car actually with you. So
you can see how it goes.
Think about other options rather than say, oh well, there's a bit of damage, therefore we've got to stop it all together.
Yeah. So
it might be that.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we review it, damage doesn't necessarily block it. It says that you can still do it, but you can't drive cars on. You've got to cart it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Any other comments? So I'm looking for somebody to propose that Jane Jones is given permission to use custom clothes as per the above, given those 3 caveats which have been written down. Proposed by Stan, seconded by Sally Ann. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Well done. Thank you very much. I've made notes of those.
Okay,
will you be letting Jane Jones know, or do you want me to let her know? Because with obviously the caveats. Well, I'll probably give her a bell and sort of say it's green light, but there will be some caveats that will be going on, but then we'll formally advise her. And we'll probably have to get, we'll do a contract as well. We'll do a contract as we do with normal things, like the circus and stuff. Right.
I was just wondering how we go about getting someone from the council to perhaps just go down and just check that for the first few times that they're actually making sure people are coming in and out of the park safely and it's being done properly rather than just a free-for-all.
I would say that, yeah.
With the, yes. To me, there's a natural access, and you do the circle if you drive, if we're allowed to drive.
Yeah.
There's a natural access and egress. Using the trees as not as a slalom.
When I just go over. When I speak to Jane Jones, I'll ask her to come back and I'll tell her what we've got planned. Ask her to give us a little bit more detail and say that there will be somebody there to sort of see how it goes and to protect our interests. And we probably might do that on the rota. So Vince, I always know that you're always prepared to step up for this sort of thing. But other councillors want to go down and have a look. Maybe actually buy something because it's supporting charities as well. But it's supporting community.
The thing is that this is part of our risk management, and my personal view is that we should be, as a council, openly not challenging, but supervising events.
Yeah.
So that we monitor before, we monitor the event, and we monitor after. And if there's any damage, we can rectify or we can
challenge it
straight away.
Okay.
So that's, we should be proactive rather than reactive.
Okay. Well, we'll get all that squared away. Thank you for that. Anyway, the next item, 15. This is the Christmas tree 2016. Obviously, everybody might be aware that the Christmas contracts are all in place. The only thing that's not in place is the Christmas tree. Light do supply. They did supply the Christmas tree last year. We know we didn't have any grief from it. I did speak to a local tree supplier up at North South Luffenham about a tree as well before I brought this agenda item. They told me they're unable to do any big trees this year because of a frost issue. I'm conscious of the fact that it may appear that time isn't against us, but we are coming up for May, and the sooner we let people know or organise it. I'm not saying this is any choice, but and I'm not going for the easy route, but I know that it worked last year, which is why I brought it back to the table. And we can then start looking around for maybe 217. Okay? Any comments or questions from around the table? Martin?
My comment is that compared with other councils, it's about 100% more than what other councils pay. And I don't feel that we should be just taking this as, I understand the issues last year, but we do have a bit of time to actually go out and find from other councils where they get their trees from. It's not a difficult task. I did actually see something, but I haven't been able to look it up, but it was on television recently, and there is an estate that grows purely for local authorities. And this is, to me, to go to Light that I'm not happy with, to just give that money which they subcontract for someone else to supply it is wrong in my opinion.
Okay, I'm going to come down the table, I'm going to start with Joyce and work round to this.
Councillor Brookes, give us a name for these councils that are half the price.
Well, 100%, that's all of it, isn't it?
Huh?
Well, Newark was told off for spending half of that. Sorry.
Question, why I'm asking the question, it would save us time if we could find out which councils do it cheaper.
Well, they're doing it for free, by the sound of it.
Sorry, say again?
Well, they're doing it, if it's 100%, it's free, isn't it?
Sorry, it was the wrong figure, 50%. I meant 50%. It was my fault for saying the wrong figure.
I'm picking up on the threads from you, Joyce.
What I'm trying to do is save the clerk, deputy clerk, some time. So if we can have the names of these councils.
Well, our council used to give money and spend only under £1,000. You know.
Let's see what Vince has to say on this.
Basically, Joyce is reading my notes again. All I was going to suggest, Martin, is sorry for your directly, is that in future, if you have got somebody in mind and you've got anecdotal evidence, then bring it and we'll use it. Because to me, I would sooner see that money being spent.
The evidence is the fact that this council, before last year, used to pay the Rotary to go and get a tree, and it was under £1,000.
600.
Yeah, so and we're being asked to spend
1,600.
1,600. Well, that doesn't make any sense to me. You know, we go to the Rotary as far as where did you buy your tree from?
Digby Farm's a place I inquired about before I brought this agenda item, and that farm something.
But I
inquired as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, Trent, but I know about Digby Farm, and yes, there are certain years they can't do it because I worked in a shop that went there for Christmas trees, but that would have been an intermittent thing. But there hasn't been a year where the Rotary weren't able to source a Christmas tree for under £1,000. I mean, that's my issue, that this is a lot of money. We were told we got no money for the CAB by a member, so that we have money to throw away on all this.
May I make a suggestion?
Shoot.
I've been sitting here listening to Councillor Brookes. May I suggest that he goes out and brings back to the next meeting prices of Christmas trees.
I don't mind doing that if members want me to do it. I can phone councils and try and find out.
Okay, let's bring this to order then. So Vince, you want to make a...
I propose that this item is deferred until the next meeting with Councillor Brookes carrying out some research to bring... Are we going to be too close to... So if you're happy with that, Martin, I propose that you go out and do some research.
I think we need some quotes.
Yeah, and get some quotes and bring that back to the next meeting.
Are you happy to take that?
Yeah.
Right, that's a proposal from
And if they come the
Vince.
same, but at least we've tried.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vince has proposed it. Michael's just said he was going to second it. Does anybody else want to make any comments before?
Could I make a comment?
Please do.
I appreciate this is probably quite expensive, and I appreciate what the councillor's saying about the Rotary, but I think we're forgetting about, not last year but the year before, when, you know, we made East Midlands News because we had a very substandard Christmas tree and a Facebook page that says just open the Christmas tree it deserves. So I think we've also got to be mindful of public perception as well, and I don't necessarily, and I keep coming back to, cheapest does not necessarily mean value for money. And I think, I appreciate this is more expensive, and I appreciate it is going to be very helpful to get some more quotes, but I also think it's a focal point for the public, so therefore we need to have a balanced approach, something that's appropriate but also is value for money.
I'm going to come round to I'm going to come to Martin, then I'll come to you, Stan, then I'll pick up Joyce.
I accept what the council is saying, but that was just 1 year. And also that this company subcontracts. And that is the issue.
We have got, no, we've got
Can I say, we've had a proposal, we've had a seconded, can we please move on?
We can, yes.
When we do this research, we need to know also that these people who are supplying the tree will put it up, and health and safety and risk assessment is observed.
Okay, so the proposal on the table then, I'll just remind all the councillors, proposed by Vince, that Councillor Brookes is going to look at for some additional prices and sourcing of a tree. Can that include where they supply, install and remove away?
If that's what you want me to do,
It was seconded by Councillor Haley. All those in favour of that? That's unanimous. And of course this is now parked until the next.
Thanks, Martin.
This will be parked. Shall we say that
busy ringing councils tomorrow morning?
Martin, I would say that it will probably come back in May. Not the next meeting would be April, but I'd say this will probably come back in May time, back end of May.
Yeah, I'll ring every council in the East Midlands.
Okay. Sorry, Michael, did you want to say something? No. Right, okay. Do you want that one?
Focus on something else.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
It would be too expensive to go down south.
Item 16 is social media to consider a report by drum roll for Jacqueline.
All I was going to say is...
Has everybody read the report? Thank you. I'll tell you what, I like that. I often say this. Everybody's read the report. Martin's going to tell me something.
I'll make a comment, and then I was going to propose it. I was going to say what a wonderful job Jasmine's doing on our social media, and I totally agree with the comments that you need to use it and promote and assist other events is acceptable.
Okay.
That's what I've read that you want to do, isn't it? I read it on.
I'm going to come over to Peter.
Yes, I'm not too familiar with this, so one or two questions. It says expanded. Who puts the information on?
On the social media?
Yes.
At the moment, Jasmine does it.
Right. So
she passes it through me as the whatever I am these days. So I get to see it and green light it.
We all feed in to Jasmine.
Well, yeah,
individuals can feed
in
as well, but it would
still...
It's a good point actually, that in actual fact Jasmine she gets hold of, she hears things, excuse me, so like say for instance the Charles Hanson evening, that was advertised in the press, okay, it was linked to the council because obviously the past chairman was organising it. I think you put it on social media, she sort of said, is it okay to put this on? Then there was events being advertised in Uppingham which were local events. She asked me, brilliant, I supported that. If a member of the council around here, like Michael, says we're doing a neighbourhood plan, Jasmine, can you put something on social media? Once again, in theory it comes from me, but a lot of the stuff that Michael does, because it's so black and white from the point of view that it's just reporting facts, it goes through to Jasmine and gets put on. So if you have something which is relevant to the town, you'd pass it to Jasmine, she would sense check it, judge it whether it's suitable for the Twitter and the Facebook. If she had any real concerns, really, you bounce it back to me. But so far, Jasmine's judgment on this has been impeccable. She has really nailed it. Michael?
You could just, for the sake of saying it, clarify that you, in that instance, are acting as a press officer.
Oh, I have been doing, yeah.
Well, that's right. I think that chimes.
Yes, I'm trying to get the protocols.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I'm meant to be a press officer.
There's a problem.
Not meant to be. You are.
Well, I know that, but I am. Well, I'm the press officer.
Right, so the press officer authorises whatever goes.
Yes, the press. Yeah. And in the absence of the press officer, it has gone to the chairman before now, which it would have. That's still me now. Martin.
I think there's a lot of, for Peter, there's a lot of element of trust that the person's not going to put their personal thing on it, and
it is
and at the moment it is just saying there is an event here, not there's no nice event that I would go to. It's not. It's a town council. Is that the right word? Town council tool, not a personal tool. And Jasmine, as you know, because I use social media and that, I watched as well, not to monitor, but I've not seen anything untoward since Jasmine's taken it over.
Yeah. So it is. So Jasmine does it, and the press officer, which at the moment is me, I make sure that it's. I'm a checkpoint.
We probably shouldn't promote commercial things.
No, it wouldn't be. But like I say here, it's things like half term, the library, the museum, the castle are all going to start holding.
And obviously Jane Jones's car boot will probably go on there. So anyway, let me come around to.
Does it doesn't always need. I mean, I don't do Facebook. I haven't got time. It doesn't always need us to do it though. I mean, there's a concert on Saturday night. The organiser of that concert could go direct to you. Or what?
In actual fact, there have been occasions, I think, where if somebody came up and said, we've got this event going off, it's just a bog standard advert and it was happening here in the town, it could go straight through, and I think there is a scope that we could do that.
I think that could be dangerous.
It serves a two-way thing, because the aim is to get people to engage with the town council's Facebook and Twitter. I'm sorry, through you then, it's to engage with the town council's
first.
Right.
So, all right, that's the same. But in future, it could be that we have more broad and scope. Tracy.
Yeah, and just to really agree with the fact that whether we like it or not, whether we're on Facebook or Twitter or not, that is how people are socialising with each other, and it's very important. And we want people to come into Oakham, we want people to stay in Oakham, and we want people to interact with the things that are going on, because if people don't know about it, if we don't publicise it, then, you know, things like car boot sale, they might only get uptake of half a dozen cars, and she feels that, you know, so I think we ought to do our best to support that. And going back to some of the age groups, I know for a fact that some of my relatives and my younger relatives never read a newspaper, never read a notice board. They purely look at Facebook. So I think we've got to really tap into that.
I think if anybody's got any, those of you that are on the internet, if you look at our town council website and then you look at Buckingham Town Council website, you will see the difference. And what we're doing is we're channeling that community engagement through our Facebook. So let's get to this document. What the proposal is, at the moment we're using it predominantly for what Oakham Town Council does. Okay, it does quite a bit. But what the proposal is that we actually expand it where we're allowing Jasmine and that team of two if you like, to use our Facebook to expand to local community news and events. And that's what we're looking for. So that is the outline. It's a no-brainer. Proposed by Peter, seconded by Vince. If there's no other comments, all those in favour? Unanimous. Well done.
Can I just ask a question?
Yep.
How often is it updated?
At the moment, not as often as it should be, because...
So tomorrow you could put something on about this concert?
Have you got a list of the concerts?
It's there, outside.
Right, well, I'll take the list home, get the list for me, and I'll keep it, and it can be added.
Yeah.
Is there some system that people outside this building know Jasmine? How does it get to Jasmine?
What it is eventually, with social media, and Martin knows this better than I do, that as people look at your website, like he's got a blog, we've got Facebook, as the people look at it and they see that it's a community-orientated Facebook, news spreads. It's no different than when the Christmas tree thing happened. It started off with one or two people raising concerns, and within a month it had hundreds. So it is done by people reading it and passing it on. It's done by word of mouth. I'm going to come around the table because we need to close this down, but Stan.
A thought's just gone through my head. It happens occasionally.
Yeah, we'll have a break. Go on.
Is it a thought that somehow we need to advertise this?
Yes, that's what we're trying to get at.
And are you, because when you were chairman before, you used to write articles regularly in the paper.
Yes, you did. Every
month. You know, that whether you're going to do it on this occasion, I don't know.
For a month.
If you are going to do it, is it worthwhile putting that in so the members of the public can see it, and then they will go to it to regularly?
It could be.
I was looking at the hits, and it's not that many.
No, it's not at the moment.
Okay, we have a plan.
I agree, but I think the more we put on, the more we update, the more we share, the more likes you get, the more hits, and that's how it
grows.
It grows, and that's the whole idea of social media.
Siam, then I'll come to mine, and then we'll move on.
I'm going to say that I use one from my shop, and whenever you put a photo on and it's something really interesting, it will get shared. Yeah. If you just put a line saying we're open or something like that, it doesn't get shared. But photos that sell things will get shared round.
Yeah.
One example of that is most of them get 9 or 10 views. Vince shared one on Facebook, 300 odd views, because everybody that Vince knows saw that post because he then shared it as well. And another way you find out things that are going on is on Twitter. The town council follows various groups. It follows Oakham Town Council, it follows Oakham in Bloom, it follows the partnership, it follows RCC, it follows the police. So I get to see everything they post and can just repost it.
Is that still?
And it's just constantly getting out there then.
Right, we might have the last comment.
Yeah, it's just purely that it's going to take time, because it's taken time for my presence, but it's what you say. I get people who actually send me something, and you do have to look at it, because they know I'm going to put it on my Facebook page or my blog and tweet it. So that's the way it works with people.
Okay. It evolves, it grows.
It grows.
It's like a ball.
But you've got to use it to make it grow.
Right, use it on it. Well done. Okay, business plan.
Have we got a vote on that, by the way?
We did vote.
We had done.
Then a very new relaxed chairman allowed us to comment after the item.
That's a bit
You seconded it.
Yeah. Totally. It was the fact that we're debating it after
We've all got standing orders.
Right, item 17 then, if we go straight to the vote. No. Business plan options for OCC building.
It's Michael.
Michael.
The Art Association Nursery have declared an interest in the building. They are looking for a long-term lease with a letter attached, I'm sure you'll see. I had that clarified this week that they would be potentially looking at a lease of between 25 and 50 years. They are quite cheekily asking for a peppercorn rent in the first year because it needs so much work doing. What we are proposing is that we engage a surveyor, and the recommendation of the clerk is we use AF Wainwright. They have quoted £250 to carry out a lease survey. We could, with the building in its present condition, no work going to it, we can then bring that back to council. The council make an informed decision whether they wish to pursue negotiating with this nursery group to lease the building. We felt if it's valued at it in its current condition, then it really negates what they're asking for a peppercorn lease in the first year. But on the grounds they've got to do it up, because that will be reflected in the lease.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to come around the table then. I'll go left to right, Stan.
And right to left.
Yeah, Stan. Thank you.
So how are you going to start?
I'm going to go stand with you first.
Clockwise?
Yeah, I'm going to do it, yeah.
Right. I've read it all, and I think it's very encouraging, actually. we obviously need to discuss peppercorn rent, but it stabilises the use of that building for a long time. And I think we should be prepared to perhaps bend over backwards a little bit to get over the first year in order to get the long-term lease of 25 or 50 years, which is good because that's not going to happen very often.
Okay, Joyce.
Just an observation really. I was at a planning meeting about the Westfield Avenue garages, and it was stated that we're oversubscribed in North West Ward for nursery places. Hence the fact they're going to build houses in Westfield Avenue car park. So have we got a guarantee that the ARC can fill that place for the next 25 years? It worries me slightly that it is a long-term lease, and I would be definitely, sorry, I'll say it now, the building has cost us an awful lot of money in the last 12 months, easily a lot of money, and I would be dead against a peppercorn rent.
Okay, well, bear in mind that what this paper is to approve engaging A and B Wainwright.
Mr. Wainwright, is there another what is he? Architect, surveyor. I mean, is that the cheap? Sorry, is that the cheapest surveyor? Is what I'm trying to say. Is it value for money? Have we researched whether there is somebody that could do it for 200 or 250 or whatever?
Okay.
Observations.
I'm going to keep you around the table.
Will you just excuse me a minute?
Certainly, Peter.
Yes, in the light of the previous two, I've got to slightly alter my stance, but talking to the letter, I mean, they're talking of free nursery funding from the government doubling in the next few years, which I think will mean that Joyce's issue won't arise in actual fact. I think, in fact, we'll go the other way. In principle, I agree with it, but I wouldn't want them to come in and get a peppercorn rent for 1 year and then have some sort of break in 3 years and disappear. You know, we need to tie them in. But if there's only one interested party, I think we've got to be sensible about it. And you know, if we're going to make a deal out of it that's reasonable, that's perhaps the option.
Yeah, okay, Michael.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to keep going around the table. Vince, you got anything to?
Just in view of the fact that it is £250 and it was one that was put forward by the clerk, then I've got no problem proposing it.
Tracy?
I think in view that it's been laid empty for so long, I think we do need to have a starting point, so I think we definitely need. But going back to the other points, I think it's really good if somebody wants a long-term lease, because that does offer some stability. And I would say that the ARC, they're a business, they will have done forward business planning, they will know what their anticipated numbers, and to be fair, the level of housing that's going around is predominantly for families, so you would assume people would be having...
Yeah, okay. So Emma, yes?
Well, I will just say that it is a known fact there aren't going to be enough places for all the children as of next year. That's why they're looking at having a new primary school.
Yes.
So obviously the little ones are going to be there as well. So I think Mary's always done a good job. So.
Right, Martin, did you have a
observation? Yes. I'm disappointed because the working group was supposed to go out and find all the options, not just someone renting it. I was the only person, and I'm not including all the councillors because some of you weren't here, who didn't vote to name it Oakham Town Council Community Centre. I'm told that there's no interest from the community. I dispute that heavily because the community hadn't been approached. My suggestion is that, bearing in mind, as Mrs. Lucas rightly says, it's cost us a lot of money. At the moment, it is costing the taxpayer money because our precept was put up to cover the rent loss. We had a tenant who still owes us 6 months' rent, who had over £60,000 spent on them when they went in there. It was let to them below the market value, despite a...
I think this is not
quotation. Well, it is relevant because I'm getting to the point, Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
I'm getting to the point. Yep. I've said the things. My suggestion is that this council needs to decide, is it going to be a community centre? Do they still want that? If they want to go down the commercial route, my suggestion is that it is properly valued, and if we've got interest in 25 years, then those people buy it on leasehold, and we don't then have to worry about 12 months down the line that they're not paying their rent. They can buy it on whatever the commercial value is. If we've decided we don't want a community centre, we don't want the problem, we go to a proper commercial letting agent and say that's what we want to do, and then all the agreements are drawn up, these people fund it via mortgage or whatever, and we don't have a problem with them not paying like we've had, because we had it through the previous club, it was sublet and all sorts of things. But if we could get a nice pot of money in, somebody said it was valued at about £80,000, well, you could probably get that for a 30-40 year lease or something, you know, on it.
Can I come to Michael? Because Michael wanted to give some feedback on this, and I think we've gone slightly off point. I know what you're getting at, and I don't disagree with it, but Michael just wanted to respond back to some of the other comments.
But I'm also not happy, Chairman, that we're just going with this one person.
Well, I think I'm looking at the proposal at the moment in the document, and in fact, this all it says is an approval is given to engage in AV Wainwright at a cost of to carry out a lease survey as shown in an updated action plan. It doesn't tie us to taking on these people, does it?
That's right.
So I'm just saying we need to focus on what this is about. And it's, by getting a lease survey, is it going to give us more information and help us decide what the group want to do with it? The group only can't bring ideas, don't forget. The council will make decisions based on that. Did you want to say something as well, Michael?
Does the lease survey incorporate what premium would be necessary to be paid, taking Councillor Brookes' point? Will it come up with a capital figure?
Yes.
It will.
Yes. Did you want to expand any more on what was been said already before? Martin?
Yeah, just to clarify that the ARC Association an expression of interest, they are suggesting a peppercorn rent. They're not saying that that is a condition, that is a point of negotiation, which obviously the working group is not in a position to negotiate, and they've been told that quite clearly. So all we are doing is to seek approval to pay for an up-to-date valuation, lease valuation of that building in its current condition. Once we have that, we can bring that back to council. Council can then decide, A, do they want to enter into negotiations with this company for a long-term lease? B, if they do, how much consideration do they want to give to their suggestion of peppercorn? Do we want to negotiate, the council negotiate with them to come to an agreement in the first year, and then of course look at costs after that at that point. As far as using it for community use, the brief of this working group was to look at the use for leasing the property and to determine, as best we could, a ad hoc hourly rate for letting it, which is included in that paper. It was not to engage with the community. Although we said we would do this, our brief was not to engage with the community. Nobody on this working group has said there's no interest from the community. So I think you find there's no reference to that at all in the paper. That we've taken the view that we've had a number, as you can see, a number of companies have shown some interest, and this is the first one that's shown a definite interest in a long-term lease, and that's as far as we've got at this stage.
Michael, can I ask through the chair that the surveyor is going to survey the car park attached to it as well? Because that's getting churned up. Because it is being used by Princess Avenue residents as a car park. That will be in the survey.
I'm going to come to mine, then I'll come back to Stan, and I'll be looking for a proposal to vote on. Martin?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate again that I'm not personally happy that people are just being allowed to us to be approached. I did do an email. As a council, we are supposed to get the full market value for any asset we have. So there's no question, it may have been done in the past for certain things, but there should be no question about giving peppercorn rents. We are not entitled to give that.
Yeah, we've been through this.
So my suggestion is, if there is interest, to me, and it seems that sadly the community centre is falling by the way, that we go to a letting agent and we put it on the market. And just, because the taxpayer is paying for it, and I think it's appalling.
Well, I think we have covered this.
For 2 years.
Stan, I'm going to come to Stan.
Can I bring this to a halt, please?
Oh yeah.
Because we've all had our say, and we're just starting to repeat ourselves, or some of us are.
I don't think anyone is, Mr. Starks.
I propose that we ask Mr. Wainwright to carry out this survey.
So the proposal on the table by Stan is as per the proposal on the blue paper, proposed by Stan, seconded by Vince. All those in favour of that? All those against? So one against. Everyone else was in favour. Four. Yeah.
Chairman, if I can just say one last comment, that it should be advertised for people. That's all I'm asking, it's to be open and proper. There's been too much of people just sending letters. And
I'll just point out to the members of the council present that when we appoint a working group to carry out on the work, that working group have done that and brought this document back, and the council supported it, Martin. So from that point of view, we followed a process, and let's put a little bit of confidence that all that is a survey to establish current rates, yeah? And then it will come back and then we can discuss it in more detail. So thank you very much for the enthusiasm. Are you all right with that?
it's disappointing it's not going to be community.
No, yes, thank you very much. And good luck.
Sorry?
No,
it won't, because that's what those people want.
The payments list, the purple paper, the mauve paper. Anybody got any comments or observations? Proposal to accept them by Vince, seconded by Stan. All those in favour?
Yes, sorry. Yes.
Martin, you?
I abstain on that.
Right, so everybody's in favour except Martin, who is abstaining.
Well, until we get a proper system installed, I'm not voting for anything.
Statement of accounts. Decide whether to approve the statement of accounts to March 31st, 2016. That hopefully is the last bundle of paper. Yeah. Anybody got any questions or queries? Peter?
Yes, the very last page. I think we have raised this before. Section 106 payment, £62,500.
Yes.
Can we clarify who owns that? Is it the town, or is it the partnership?
Town council. Oakham Town Council. The £62,000 that.
Can I?
Yeah, go on then. I thought we did.
I was here when the £62,000 came into the account. At the time, the clerk did not know where the money came from. OTC hadn't invoiced for it, was expecting it. Subsequently found that it would appear to have come to us by mistake, that it appears that it is intended for Oakham Town Partnership. And I believe Alison.
Is that right?
That's right.
That was,
sorry, I didn't hear
that's why I asked the question. That was my understanding, because I raised it in the first place. I'm not being difficult about it, but it's gone in, but we should know that it's going to go out.
Yeah, unfortunately the clerk went off sick at the same time. Alison is aware of this now.
I thought Richard sent an email through to County Council. They came back and said it was money split that come from S106, split between Uppingham and Oakham Town Council.
Yeah, they got the other 62,000.
Yes, but for the partnerships, the two partnerships.
So it's not for the town part. Oh, okay, right. Okay, yeah. Valid point. Thank you, Peter, for pointing it out. The £62,000, £62,500, which is not ours. We've got to go out. I'll come to Michael, but I'll go to Martin first.
Because there has been some confusion with emails from Rutland County Council, can we ensure that the money doesn't go anywhere until Rutland County Council and write and ask for it.
Okay.
It's so that we know that, because obviously if it's got to go to the partnership, Richard said to me it will go back to the town, to the county council first, and then they will give it back. But I think at this stage, if it could be ours, which one of the emails did say, then why send it back if their accounts people need to put it in writing what the situation is.
Okay, an audit trail. An audit trail is not
acceptable. Well, he said it's going to cause a problem with the audit, so we need a proper paper trail. And I'm annoyed that people huff.
Martin, thank you.
Let's see what finance working group is of the view that it's without a clear understanding of who it's aimed for. The Oakham Town Council should return the money from whence it came at the earliest possible time and then go from there. In other words, any discussion about where it's destined should only be once the money's been repaid.
But we need a paper trail to show that it's supposed to go back to Rutland County Council. That was the issue.
Well, they're not going to do it in cash. I think they'll do it.
No, but if you just make a payment, the auditor needs to know
we won't authorise it being repaid to the person who sends it without checking that that's the right destination.
And it will have to come to council as well for approval because it's a huge sum of money.
That is the fact. It is a payment. We've had a payment in, and if any payment out would have to be authorised.
Yeah. Well, then I think it's fair to say that if the clerk hadn't been away here at tonight's meeting, that approval would have been sought.
We'll probably have approval at the next meeting, because the next meeting is probably going to be a full council meeting to make sure that we can cover off all legal aspects of that element of the council.
Well, if all of that's right, then the money can't be paid until the date of that meeting. Okay. So
well, that's all right. I think that satisfies everyone's issue then.
Moment of final statement about it. Yeah, that's because I'm on the partnership. And you seem to be, you weren't aware of the money was for them. I can state quite categorically that the £62,500 is for the partnership, and I can tell you what it is for.
Town Centre Manager?
Yes.
Yeah.
A total waste of money again.
Okay, so thank you, Michael.
We need clarification from the
person. I think I mean, at the moment we haven't. If we've not had one, if you're not 100% happy that this money is from who it's come from, where it goes, at the end of the day, it's only going to take these things take a couple of weeks. So let's do it by the book, because it's only appropriate. It keeps everybody happy.
I propose we approve the statement subject to that caveat.
Yeah.
That's why Peter, I like you. Proposal by Peter that we accept these statements subject to that caveat. Seconded by Vince. All those in favour? Are you against or abstaining?
Abstaining.
So everyone's for it and one abstention.
No.
So it's called.
Have we finished?
Yeah. Well, I will if.
And will you just closing it?
I was going to close it now, yeah.
Can I just say thank you to Alison, who's been thrown at the deep end, and I think that